Children are being born with autism more and more, and this is the real reason why. Is there something wrong with our children? It's time for planet Earth to wake up. Deep down, the world knows these children are not from here, and they came to take us somewhere else. I'm absolutely sure you've already noticed that. We've never had as many cases of neurodivergent children diagnosed as we do today, especially autistic children. The number of autistic children is increasing absurdly. In schools, for example, the enrollment of students with autism spectrum disorder grew by 44% from 2023 to 2024, according to the 2024 school census released this month by the Ministry of Education. Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention of the United States, according to a report published in April. Starting in 2025, they report that 1 in 31 8-year-olds in the United States will be on the autism spectrum. And this is the highest prevalence ever recorded in the historical series of the Centers for Disease Control of the United States, which surpasses the previous rate of 1 in every 36 children, corresponding to more than 3% of the studied population. There is something wrong with our children, but not with them themselves, rather with the world they are being born into. For centuries, childhood was considered the symbol of purity, of full potential. But today, each new birth kind of carries an invisible burden, like a predisposition. A label, a dysfunction, an international classification of diseases number ready to be printed even before the baby opens their eyes. We are witnessing in real time the neurological collapse of the next generation. And the data doesn't lie, because children are increasingly anxious, increasingly aggressive, overstimulated, unfocused, sleepless, and absent. Autism is no longer a rare diagnosis. It is a trait that is becoming statistically common. And attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, my friends, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder has skyrocketed, and childhood anxiety has become something normal. Depression, which used to be an existential crisis for adults, now appears in children as young as 7 or 8 years old. And adults look at all of this as if it were some isolated phenomenon, as if the blame were on the children, and not on the environment, the habitat where they were placed to develop. What we're witnessing is a human species that's degrading psychosomatically from birth. And all of this starts even before the child is born, because the mother's womb is being bombarded by stress, by cortisol, by microplastics, by toxins, by contaminated water, by ultra-processed food, by artificial light, 24 hours a day. But the topic here in this video today isn't neurodivergence. Actually, my field of study in neuroscience is the behavioral patterns of the financial market. In other words, it has absolutely nothing to do with neurodivergence in children. I'm not qualified to comment on neurodivergence in children. What I shared at the start of this video are some very revealing data from real research that show the number of neurodivergent children is increasing drastically. So, why did I share this data at the start of the video? Well, because I have a topic that's even darker to talk about, and the topic is forbidden archetypes. Archetypes are primordial forms of consciousness. They are vibrational models so powerful that they were erased, distorted, or demonized so that they would never be awakened en masse. Because, guys, awakening a forbidden archetype isn't like saying a prayer or visualizing a cute little symbol. It's like triggering a spiritual detonator that breaks the human mental script and puts you at war against the structure of reality that was imposed on you. And there are archetypes you've never heard of, and the reason is very simple. The reason is that these archetypes, they weren't forgotten. People didn't stop talking about them because they were simply forgotten, but rather it's because they were silenced. There are archetypes that are allowed. We can totally talk about them, and we can explain them. I'm referring to the hero, mother, wise one, and child archetypes, right? These are teachings from Jungian psychology, which are even recycled in Disney movies. I'm not going to talk to you about those today. I'm going to talk about forbidden archetypes that live in the underground of the human psyche, these forbidden archetypes. They are very ancient, chaotic, violent, and non-dogmatic. They don't respond to either light or shadow. They are autonomous, pre-human, anti-system by nature, and that's exactly why they were exiled from the collective consciousness. The first forbidden archetype I want to discuss relates to neurodivergent children. It is the archetype of the deprogrammer. It is an inner being that does not obey linearity. He was born already knowing everything is wrong. School, religion, government, even space and time. I'm talking about children who are already born with this archetype activated and are often diagnosed with severe disorders. So, high-functioning autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, early onset schizophrenia. However, these children are not sick. Actually, they're defragmenting the matrix from the inside. So I'm talking about children who are true spiritual time bombs, and the system knows exactly all the details about these children. They know that they have a much greater mission and that they came for a great awakening. So these children, by the system, are drugged from an early age, silenced, isolated, and labeled. The archetype of the deprogrammer. He doesn't want to change the world. No, on the contrary, he wants to blow up the whole system. He wants to blow up the entire script. And the system, right guys, it looks at all of this and fears it. And I'm not surprised that we have so many diagnoses, so many cases, and such an absurd increase in percentages in such a short time. But of course, the one I'm telling you about is just one of the many forbidden archetypes that can't even be mentioned here. I brought this one because it's more common and it's easier for people to see, for people to notice this happening in real life. For channel members, I've already prepared the full list of forbidden archetypes. If you're not a member of this channel yet, it's very simple and very easy. You just need to click down here on Become a Member, Join, and Watch. Not only for this content, but also by joining as a member. You will have access to all the exclusive content that is produced only for the members here on the channel. So members, stay tuned. A video revealing all the forbidden archetypes must have already appeared for you at the same time this video was released. Just watch it. Now, going back to this archetype of the deprogrammer. The increase in cases of autism and neurodivergence is visible and undeniable. In the 80s, we saw 1 case per 10,000 children. Now, in the United States, it's 1 in 31 children. And some specialists say that this number could be even higher, but it's hidden by diagnoses in certain regions. And it's not just autism, okay? The rates of attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, anxiety, sensory disorders, difficulty with emotional regulation, and childhood depression. They rise in a straight line heading toward the abyss. And there are those who believe that the increase in the number of neurodivergent children is a collapse of the human nervous system. But I came here to propose a completely opposite reflection. What if it's the other way around? Wait, what do you mean, Carol? What if it's the opposite? What if normal is actually wrong? And what about neurodivergence? Is it really an intelligent response from the soul in the face of an insane world? And what if all of this is actually a response to everything that's happening here? Because it was never just about diagnosis, I'm talking about perception. And I know a lot of people are going to argue here in the comments saying things like, but the number went up because now we have the ability to diagnose this in a better way. And I agree. We do have the ability nowadays to assess these neurodivergences in a more accurate way. But at the same time, what I'm proposing here is for you to look at something that's already established by the system in a different way. What if these children are born with brains that don't fit in, hyperactive senses, scattered focus, unusual speech, unpredictable movement, defiance, and intolerance for lies? And what if they're being born this way because they can't stand mechanical routines, meaningless commands, or empty interactions anymore? It may look like dysfunction, but it's actually a sign. This is a symptom that planet Earth needs to wake up, that humanity is evolving toward an awakening where the old system no longer works. These children, they come here into a system that doesn't accommodate them, so these children, they already come here with the archetype of the incarnated Deprogrammer. And guys, the Deprogrammer, this archetype is not a cute archetype, no. He doesn't come to harmonize, but to destabilize. He breaks protocol, challenges tradition, and quietly disobeys. And he is the chaos before the reset. He is the glitch in the code, right? The perfect error that shows us how flawed the program is. We look at neurodivergent children and we think they're wrong. But pay attention, I'm suggesting something here. What if it's the opposite? What if we're the ones who always have to fit in to belong to a system? And these kids come to show us that we don't need to fit into anything because the system needs to fall. These neurodivergent kids, they're a living code. They walk around in public schools, in psychiatric clinics, and they're also in families in collapse. Now, let's address what the modern world won't admit, though the system knows it. It knows that these kids are different, that they perceive more, that they feel more, that they are more suspicious. That's why they're considered dangerous. We have to medicate, restrain, and dope them. But how do you extinguish a revolution that can't even speak yet? How do you stop a revolution without a voice, like that baby already born with a diagnosis? You can't kill that voice, it's impossible to kill that voice, so you medicate that voice, right? From a young age, these children are labeled, isolated, placed in special classes, and given increasing psychotropics. Because this keeps increasing, right, guys? The brain has an incredible ability to adapt, so it adapts to the mild medication, and then you have to increase the dosage or switch to something stronger. And these medications have to be taken at very precisely controlled times. Guys, today I saw a video that was exactly what I'm telling you about. It was a video of a mother showing what her son was like before the medication. A child who used to run around and play and didn't pay attention in the pictures, right? Because the mother wanted to take a picture, but he didn't want to. He wanted to run around everywhere. And after the medication, he was a sedated child, extremely sedated. All medications are precisely controlled along with psychologists, caregivers, and performance charts. Guys, children aren't operating systems, not for us to have performance charts, but we do, right? These children are monitored constantly as if they were bombs ready to explode. They are, but not destructively. It's actually liberating. These children are like miniature black holes. They pull everything that's false inside. They collapse old structures just by their presence, and then they mirror that back. And that's exactly why the world reacts with fear, because they don't obey the logic of the clock, vertical authority, standardized language, or militarized pedagogy. They don't want to take part in the game like you were forced to, and they can't pretend they don't want to. So the archetype of the deprogrammer, it always appears in moments of collapse of civilizational cycles. This isn't new. There were oracle children and enlightened monks in the Roman Empire. There, at the end of the Middle Ages, for example, there were alchemists and insane visionaries, and today here where we are, right? On the brink of planetary transition, we face artificial intelligence, ecological collapse, genetic engineering, and total surveillance. It's within this scenario that children appear who no longer want to play at being human on automatic mode. Yes, the planet is changing, Earth's frequency has risen, and humanity's morphogenetic field is being recalibrated. And this field I'm telling you about is a new field where linear brains can no longer sustain the experience. That's why these souls, these interdimensional consciousnesses are coming to planet Earth with different hardware. So these are souls that have already gone through collapsed realities before, who came with the resistance code embedded. The system is a desperate organism, so it must react. And the way to react to all this is with antibodies. And these antibodies are the mass diagnoses. Ritalin, right? The labels of problematic child, curricular adaptation, emotional control, and worse, right, the pathologization of difference. This is where our trap closes. Why? When we convince ourselves that a free soul is sick, that soul stops fighting. When we say that a divergent mind is a mistake, it tries to correct itself, it tries, within this process of its revolutionary essence, it tries to correct itself. That's exactly what happened with 99.9% of millennials and Gen Z. Those watching now might say something like this. That's right, Carol. My whole life, my mom, dad, society, and teachers shaped me. Saying I'm a mistake and don't fit in, that's exactly how I feel. They tried to do that to us. They tried to make us the code that breaks the matrix, but they couldn't. We're seeing more than just a rise in autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and neurodivergence statistics. We're seeing the most desperate attack against planetary awakening. And these children, they don't come to break or destroy. They come to question even what is considered unquestionable. They do this with their gaze, with their posture, with their silence. They are entities of raw truth, right? They are mirrors exposing all that's rotten. Industrial schools exist because, yes, school is an industry. Stop and notice. Notice how education is industrialized, artificial food, another industry, right? Fathers and mothers who display performative relationships, especially on social media, get married and have a neurodivergent child. Well, why do you think that is, right? Maybe this child is showing you your relationship shouldn't be performative. Isn't that true about those inhumane jobs too? About the inherited beliefs, these children come to destroy the act. The system replies with a choreography, which I find absurd. It creates inclusion policies that segregate, acceptance campaigns that infantilize, therapies that shape difference to look like the norm, right? And everything is done to deprogram the deprogrammer or to neutralize this archetype. So, it only works up to a certain point because some of these children can no longer be captured, not with medication, not with control, not with conditional affection, not even with positive education. Okay, they arrive with a mission to destroy the false reality. And that's exactly why there's never been so much fear around childhood as there is now, okay? So much control and surveillance because deep down, everyone knows these children don't belong here. They came to move what's here elsewhere. You there who keep calling mine a disorder, I feel sorry for you, okay? Or have you realized that what's emerging is a new species, not a problem? I hope you have. Well, for those who want to know more about forbidden archetypes, the ones I haven't talked about here yet, because I'll talk about them in the video. For the members, I recommend the content that's already been released here for the channel members. And for those who want to read more about archetypes and understand how these symbols communicate directly with the human psyche without going through the conscious filter, I recommend my best-selling book, Archetypes, The Secret Key by Carol Capel to help shape reality. It's on Amazon worldwide. The links to all my books are down here, but this book specifically talks about archetypes, about symbols, about what I talked to you about here in today's video. Well, I'm going to wrap up this video here, and I look forward to your comments down below. And if you like this content, you know what to do, right? Subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. Because that helps YouTube understand absolutely nothing. It will keep messing with me and my videos. So I really wanted to thank the YouTube team. Congratulations on your work. It's terrible. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to you all with this video. I want to hear all your comments. I want to know everything you think. About this thoughtful topic here, do you agree or disagree with the archetype of the deprogrammer? Comment down below. And also, if you know someone who has children with neurodivergence, if you have neurodivergence, or if you have a child with neurodivergence, I recommend that you watch this video, watch it several times, and memorize the things that are in here, because everything that's in here is real. The deprogrammer archetype is real and currently in use. Don't be fooled. A big kiss for you all, and I'll see you in our next videos. Bye.